I think we're good then. Everybody ready?
So ready.
Yep, let's do this.
I'll point at you when it's time to talk, as usual, Rich.
I was going to say, let's do this.
Okay. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the RPG After Years, your weekly show covering all things RPGs, past, present, and future. I'm Rich.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Scott.
Welcome to episode 31. Today we're going to talk about the hugely successful RPG Kickstarter. Oh, I always mess this up. The Chronicle game.
It's
It's
Yej.
Eiyuden Chronicle.
The Eiyuden Chronicle.
Eiyuden Chronicle, it's Yej.
Yes, it's huge. Kickstarter video game. And later in the show, we'll be holding another session of the RPG Club for Wild Arms.
Should we try that again? That was pretty messy.
No.
We just know that I suck at pronunciation. We should never give me big words.
Right.
Since this is an RPG Club episode, we won't be doing any catch up today. So we'll just pass on the updates then, guys.
But I did want to bring up, Rich, it was your birthday earlier this week, right?
Yes, it was.
Happy birthday to
Just sing the whole
you.
song live.
Happy birthday, dear Richard.
How was it?
Happy birthday to you.
I'm waiting for Jay to finish. I'm actually crying. No.
I can't believe you're 34.
4.
Damn. I didn't know you was that old.
Yeah, I know, it sucks.
I forgot.
It sucks. I don't look it. I mean, I got some youthful skin.
You actually don't. So congrats on that.
Well, thank you. I don't do anything.
Baby face Rich.
I know. If I shave, like I already have one, I don't have much facial hair, but if I shave, that's worse. So yeah, it was not bad. We didn't do too much. COVID, we still limit a lot of the stuff that we do naturally. But I don't really celebrate Martha. Gym.
Who's
I
that?
I had a really big training session. So
Come on. Come on, Scott. I figured you would have at least gotten that.
Gotten what?
He said Jim. I said, who's that? Come on.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I need.
Well, you said you were going to do something yesterday, right?
Yes, we did. I had my wife's family came in, so we just her sister and brother-in-law and the 2 kids. So saw them for a little bit yesterday all day. My day was pre-packed with what did I do yesterday? It was such a blur.
Yard work.
Yard work, gym, pool, food, gather around, talk, food, bed. So
well,
busy
glad
day.
You enjoyed. I know you said you're not really a birthday guy.
No, I'm not. I never really been one. I just, if you're gonna give me something, sure, I appreciate it. You don't have to. It's just another day to me. So
I like birthdays. I want presents. I want everybody to celebrate.
So we know what Scott likes.
Yeah, but I feel a little silly because most of my friends are like you, where it's like, they don't really care. But I'm like, it's the one day a year that is about you.
Yeah.
So.
I'm the only thing that I demand on my birthdays is that I don't have to work. That's the only thing.
Well, that's enough.
Well, when I turned 30, I told no one to say a word to me about it. I was actually very sad. I
turned 30 next month, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna deal with that yet.
When you hit
But-
30, things start to creak and pop on you.
Scott just
Oh,
posts a
man.
picture of like a Camaro.
Wouldn't surprise me. Maybe that's when I'll. Oh, I just hit my desk. Maybe that's when I'll finally do that skydiving thing. But
Yeah.
Jay, I noticed there's something interesting on your ear. What is that?
So, for those who are not watching the Twitch stream, I have fake magnetic 8mm earrings on my ears. And this is an experiment to make sure that I enjoy the look and how it makes me feel to have gauges in my ears.
You feel
Because
pretty.
if I like it, I do feel pretty. I feel like a pretty little man. But so if I like it, I'm gonna go have somebody stab a huge spike through my earlobes and actually get it done.
Nice.
So
I think it
yeah,
looks pretty good from here.
I wanted to test it out before I actually got it done. So I figured that's probably a smart thing to do before I go and permanently alter my body.
Do you think are you liking it so far?
I am liking it. It gives me an odd sense of confidence, and I think it might be rooted in my teenage years of wanting to be like in a metal band and have tattoos and
Hmm.
gauged ears and long hair. And
So
like
Jay's having his own midlife crisis right now.
apparently, no, I just had like some sudden realizations that are like, oh my God, I'm 26. I'll be 26. I'm 25 now. And I can literally do whatever I want in terms of my body. And I've never actually done anything. So
Your body,
why
your
not?
rules.
Yeah, my body, Scott.
Well, I am not personally a fan of gauges, but when you said that, I was picturing, you know how like you have the actual hole in your ear
Oh
with
yeah,
like
I
the ring
wasn't gonna
inside.
6mm, 8mm. Like these are 8mm, like little magnetic things. I would not
Hmm.
go any bigger than that. I
Gotcha.
don't, because if I want to change my mind, I want my ears to be able to heal instead of having them to stitched up. So
Right. Well, if you like it, then I like it. So
Me too.
thanks, guys. Thanks.
All right. Any other updates we want to share before the news?
Nope. Let's just jump to the news.
All right. Let's.
Hear ye, gather round for all your news. Stop your clatter and listen close. Alas, you won't believe your ears. Listen close for the news.
All right, Scott, why don't you kick us off there, buddy?
Alrighty. So one article that caught my eye this week. Apparently, Square Enix and Luminous Productions, who are over that new RPG, Project Athia, that some people sort of suspected might have been FF16, but it's not. We
Yet.
Yeah, we will see.
Come
They
on.
It will
released
be.
a trailer called the World Editor that they're using for Project Athia, and apparently it's like a procedurally generated world, and they did confirm that Project Athia will be open world. So it's like automatically generated, but they like go through and like customize it as it's built. It was like a 2-minute trailer just showing like the world coming up from nothing. It's pretty impressive.
So is it like a one-time procedurally built world, or is that implying that all the areas are procedurally built and they just make like changes?
I don't know. So when I watched the trailer, it just showed everything being built from the ground up, but I can't imagine that the world would be like different for every player or anything like that. That would be weird.
I feel like that would be cool. Like that's one thing that I thought was really cool about the older Elder Scrolls game is that they like on the spot all the dungeons were procedurally built, which is really easy to do in a game from the 80s. Not so easy to do in a game from like the 2020s where everything is such high quality and there are just so many pixels, so many triangles, Scott. So
Polygons.
I imagine that it's not actually doable, but that would be really cool to procedurally generate these like high definition, high resolution world maps. It would also, I'm curious if the new generation consoles would be able to handle something like that.
Well, there was No Man's Sky, right? So that was sort of.
That
It took them a
big
while to
flop.
make. Apparently, it's good now, but at launch, it it
Too
was a big
little, too
controversy.
late, my friends.
Yeah, but for some reason, I forgot that Project Athia was under the Luminous engine. I don't know how I forgot that, but I guess it was the trailer came out the same day that we got the Unreal Engine 5 trailer. So I just got kind of confused on that. But this looks neat. We'll see where it goes.
I'm surprised they're still like putting money into that Luminous engine whenever they can just use Unreal. Like, there has to be some. Either they are too hard-headed to admit that Unreal is better, or there's something about it that is better.
Maybe it's
Those
like
are
a
kinda-
sunk cost fallacy where like they've put so much money into it now.
Yeah, we can't just throw it away. We've
Right.
put $3 million into this thing.
Exactly.
You know how many people's
But,
pride that would hurt?
Too many. And the big wigs would probably, shit a brick. So
Yeah, somebody would get fired. All right, so up next, yes.
Started?
So Kickstarted, JRPG inspired Edge of Eternity launches for PS4, Xbox One, and Steam in spring of 2021. So this is a game that started its Kickstarter in 2015, I think. And yeah, it got the funding it needed, and it looks pretty good. The graphics don't look the goodest. But yeah, this was some pretty neat news. Kickstarter game, it's gonna launch. Looks like it's launching on a generation too late, but maybe that's an unfortunate thing with these kickstarted games that aren't necessarily backed by a huge bank. So yeah,
I think I had heard of this game, but like it was just completely under my radar. I remember the Kickstarter.
It basically looks like they took a bunch of ideas from Versus 13 and 15 of Final Fantasy. So
I watched the trailer though, and it looks pretty good. Like I might actually keep an eye on this one.
yeah, I might get it on Steam, but I don't know. It looks pretty good. It looks.
I thought it was on the
fun.
Switch.
No.
No, I thought I remember seeing it on the Switch store or the East.
Do you know anything about the game, Rich?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it pop up occasionally on my Steam. It's like, hey, you may like this, but no, I haven't really seen anything about it.
It's very relevant to our main discussion today, so we'll probably come back to this subject a little bit. But yeah, yep. I'm gonna keep an eye on it.
All right, so Grandy HD Collection receives a substantial patch. So I took a look at it. It looks like it includes the patch for the limited run game as well. So if you pick that up, it's going to be on that. It fixed a lot of stuff in Grandia HD, it fixed to add credits to opening FNV. Achievement swab boss is now achievable.
Yeah, you don't have to go down and read them all. It's basically just a shit ton of bug and graphical fixes.
From what I could tell, yeah. So there's it fixes all sorts of stuff, especially in Grandia 2.
Did you say swab boss?
Yeah, it says swab boss.
What's swab boss? I'm imagining like a huge like swab that a doctor like swabs your throat. Like it's just a guy holding one of those.
No.
Swabbing you.
I think it's talking about that mini game in Grandia 1 where you have to swab or scrub the decks, maybe.
And then after that, there's supposed to be a boss that pops up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it fixed all sorts of crazy little things that probably fixed this, like fixed to enhance SFX and BMG looping seamlessly through locations. So
that's a nice one. That's I hate when games don't do that.
So
like Wild Arms.
So yeah, it fixes a lot of those things.
I'm a little surprised that they're still putting that much effort into it. I mean, the game came out last year, right? So early last year, I think. Early-ish.
Maybe they're doing all that because they're going to put the next Grandia game on there.
You know what? Let's just all play through Grandia again.
I liked it.
No.
Okay, so Square Enix addresses launch issues surrounding Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition.
They ignore it.
So we know that people are not happy with how this ended up, but they have promised to fix some bugs, like allowing you to skip boss intro cutscenes when you're playing together. But the thing is, that's not really what everybody is mad about. Everybody's mad that it's like impossibly difficult to play together.
Tell me why. I haven't heard much about this.
So the first problem is that it's region locked. So you can't play with people from other areas, despite the fact that they did do crossplay. Apparently, matchmaking is kind of a mess. I think. Oh, and this is the reason, the thing that made me decide not to get the game. If you play through a dungeon with your friends, only the host gets to keep like the rewards from that dungeon. So, say you want to play through the whole campaign with your friend, you're gonna have to do every dungeon like 3 or 4 times. So that's shitty. So fuck, Siri keeps trying to talk to me. So yeah, hopefully they get back to that and fix those things, but it seems like such an infrastructure problem with the way they've set up online that by the time that they actually get to it, if they do, it's going to be too late. It's probably already too late. I mean,
Come
Crystal
on.
Chronicles not a big game.
They were able to pull off the whole Final Fantasy 14 thing.
That's true, but I feel like that's different as an
It is
MMO.
totally different, yeah.
I know we're sort of excited about this game, but I'm glad they're looking at the issues, but it seems like they're not looking at the right issues necessarily.
They'll
Let's
get
see
to
if I
it.
can see what else they updated. I'm not seeing anything else. Okay, here we go. Hotspots. Having spawned an unknown element hotspot after being matched with a player who has spawned one and completed a dungeon in multiplayer. I don't know what that means, even though I've played the game. Fixes for bugs where items can be obtained infinitely. People probably didn't want that fix.
No, keep that. Come on, Square.
They're getting rid of freezes during loading, reducing load time. Yeah, so I guess it's better than nothing. Hopefully they'll fix it.
So up next is some pretty awesome news. We learned that The Witcher 3 is getting a new edition on the PS5 and Xbox.
Series X.
Series X. All I see is XB Sex. That's all I see. And that's going to be free to update for current owners. So I thought this was pretty cool. So I own it on the PS4, so I should be able to get it on the PS5. That's cool. I'll play it on the PS5. Yeah.
It seems like it's just like a graphical boost. I noticed they mentioned ray tracing in there somewhere.
Yeah,
and it'll have a standalone release on those systems.
Yeah, and also better load times, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I imagine they will mostly be like, maybe they'll have some like bug fixes, but it's probably going to be mostly graphical updates, which that would be pretty sweet. It already looks like a really good game, even for something released 5 years ago. So yeah,
They made so much money off of this game,
and they will continue to do so because it's amazing. You guys should play it.
I plan to one day. I think I bought it on like a sale or something.
You should play it.
So I
you
do
have to
it.
play it. You must play it
Eventually. Now I got to wait for the PS5 version.
Yeah, no joke.
I feel
Unless
like
you got it on the Switch, and then you're not going to get an upgrade.
Yeah,
Right.
I have it on Switch too.
Oh,
I
I
also
think
have
it's
it
a
on the
free
Switch.
update for PC owners as well.
So I'm going to have it for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and the Switch. The Witcher is going to become the new Skyrim, but much
seems
better.
like it.
Much better.
I think
Sorry, what were
Grand
you
Theft
gonna
Auto
say?
5 will be there. So I think there's like several games that have been basically carried through each console. It's Grand
Yeah.
Theft Auto is definitely going to be Grand Theft Auto. Is it 5?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be announced pretty soon.
I feel like we're in somewhat of a lull of creativity with games. Like,
Oh yeah.
like these like Call of Duty is stupid,
Yep.
and it used to be pretty interesting. The Witcher 3 is just getting re-released. Grand Theft Auto is just getting re-released. Skyrim is just getting re-released. Anthem was a huge bust. Loads of games have just been huge failures.
Well,
We're in
also,
kind of
this
like
is
a
a
low
totally
point.
different but related subject. Like Sony and Microsoft are just like sort of totally botching this next gen launch. So
Oh yeah.
I think that's got a lot of gamers in like a foul mood right now.
Well, if they would tell us what the price is, allow people to pre-order and put money down, like they would have more sales, I think, as
You
opposed to
guys
going
saw
out there
that
and
thing where Sony opened like a form for you to register to potentially have the ability to pre-order.
That's like you buy the game and maybe kind of no, but we'll
Right.
give you a shot.
I think they even said they might select it based on who applies, like community leaders and shit. It's such bullshit.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Well, the last one we have here is Marvel's Avengers has launched.
We missed it last week, I think.
Yes.
So
But it's good. I liked it. I'm liking it so far. I played a little bit of it.
how far into it are you?
Not very far. I just passed A Day.
What?
A Day is the day that the Avengers failed. And AIM. So they failed. That's basically what it is. I won't get too far detail on it, but yeah.
Well,
And
the
the
reason
Avengers
I wanted to
disbanded.
talk about this is apparently, people weren't very excited about this game going into it. It didn't actually look that great for a AAA title. Not really what people wanted. There was some like controversy surrounding the multiplayer and all that. But apparently it came out and the single player campaign is actually good from what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, and what people need to understand is this is Square Enix take on Marvel Avengers.
Right.
So they're taking stuff from the comics and the movies and everything else, and they're making it into theirs.
All I can picture is like Final Fantasy games, but with Marvel characters, or like an anime, but with Marvel characters, like with all the anime tropes, but with Marvel. Like it's a funny image popping in my head.
But it is not.
This is a
I
few
promise
years
you.
ago now, but do you guys remember Nomura making like his own Batman designs for those like figures Square Enix releases all the time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look at some more reviews and see like more how people are feeling, a couple weeks down the road. But I think I might actually get this if it's as good as what I'm hearing, because I want a good Avengers
Considered
game.
an RPG? Can we consider it an RPG?
I mean, technically, it has have
Yeah.
level progressions.
They list articles about it on this RPG site we get our news from. So
that there we go. That's
There you go.
all we need.
that's the benchmark. Okay, speaking of RPG releases, this is why we missed Avengers, by the way. It's because despite dozens of articles on this RPG site about Avengers, it wasn't on their release date calendar. So we got Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning on PS4, Xbox One, PC, September 8th. Star Renegades on the PC, September 8th. And Necromunda Underhive Wars on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on September 8th as well. Then on the 10th, we've got Minoria on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Other side on Switch, Artificer, Science of Magic on PC, and Wintermore Tactics Club, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. All of those are on September 10th. Anybody have any interest in any of those?
No. Not at
Go
all.
ahead.
So RPGs upcoming, we have Vaporum Lockdown for the PC on September 15th. I'm imagining that's just a game where you're like vape lords and you're like battling it out in a vape arena, and you have to like kind of like Beyblade but with vapes. That's what I'm imagining.
You have an active imagination, Jay.
And then the dungeon Imagination, yes.
There you go.
That's actually, so did you guys ever watch WWE?
A long time ago.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
You know Jeff Hardy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on, he has like uh, at least whenever I watched it back when I was a young lad, wee little lad, he had like an entire wooded area that he called Imagination because he's kind of like a super weirdo. That's what what that made me think of.
You are the Jeff
Anyway,
Hardy of my life.
I invite that, but also he did a lot of drugs, I'm pretty sure, so I need to watch out.
Even better.
Up next, the Dungeon of Naheilbuch. I have no idea how to pronounce that. So it's the Dungeon of Naheilbuch. Be something. The Amulet of Chaos PC, September 17th.
I should have made Rich read that part. So
Yeah, thank you.
Take a whack at
Thank
it.
you for not doing that. I appreciate it.
I want to try to have like the correct accent to go with it too, but I feel like I don't know what's more insulting, the lack of trying to pronounce it phonetically correct or not.
Where's Disa when you need her?
I don't know.
All right, guys. With all the news out of the way, let's shift gears to the save state of the podcast for a quick little second. All right, Scott, why don't you tell us about some of that bomb-tastic Patreon stuff that we got going on?
All right. So we do have a Patreon with lots of great benefits, and we would greatly appreciate anybody who would take a look at that and, give back to the show if you enjoy it anyway. And if you like us, I hope so. Some of the benefits, you get early episode access. Sometimes it comes out 2 or 3 days sooner than the main episode. You also get ad-free episodes, so no anchor ads, no promos. We've got bonus episodes of the show called the Aftercast, where we just sort of shoot the shit about whatever we feel like. We try to keep it sort of related to gaming, but sometimes we go off the deep end. By the way, I think we should try to record one next week. So let's plan on that if we can. We got extra reviews. We also need to record a Last of Us review, but there's lots of Mario game reviews and Resident Evil, stuff like that. If you're a $5 patron, you get access to the RPG Club nominating and voting. So you get to choose what game we play for the RPG Club. It'll be interesting to see how the next round of voting goes. And there's lots more benefits, and you can check out those at patreon.com/RPG Afteryears. We'd really appreciate it.
Nice. So if you guys notice that we are streaming on Twitch, we stream every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/RPG Afteryears. Come join us.
Yes, hang out with us. Be a part of the show.
So as Scott mentioned, we do have an RPG club. It's a cool little thing that we do with the community where we are all playing an agreed upon game and completing segments of this game together at the same time as each other. In unison might be the word I was looking for. And so for those participating, you have until September 20th to finish the Pandemonium in Wild Arms. The next RPG club will also meet on September 20th.
Sweet. One more announcement. We made this announcement last week, but our merch store is live, and you can find the link to that in the show notes. You can get posters, mugs, all kinds of shirts and hoodies, and you can even get shower curtains and comforters with our album art and logo, all kinds of crazy shit. I dropped quite a bit of money myself getting some of this merch. So I actually got a poster, but I need to find a frame for it. I'm going to hang it back here instead of the Tennessee thing. So,
Nice.
So I should be getting some of that this week so I can start modeling it for you guys. But yeah, check that out if you want to support the show.
Awesome. So let's go to the main topic, guys. Let's do this.
Well, we got to take a break first, Rich.
I know we do.
Let's do it. You guys still good?
Yes.
Okay. I actually have the music to play live, so I'll do
Sweet.
that. All right. The show goes on.
Okay, so we're back. Let's talk about the hugely successful Kickstarter RPG, Eiyuden Chronicle, as well as the Kickstarter video games in general.
Let's Okay, how do we kick this off, gents?
Well,
How do we feel about the game and just in general?
I didn't really look too much hard. I know it's a sequel. Is it supposed to be a sequel to Sweden?
It's inspired by, it's like a spiritual successor to those Suikoden games that
Okay.
people generally like, I think, from back in like the PS1 days.
So is this the
Okay.
one? Is this the one that was created by the people involved with that, and they like got all together and like, hey,
I think
let's
some
do
of the
this
staff is
thing?
from that.
Gotcha.
But it's basically like 2D sprites on a 3D background. Apparently, one of the main gimmicks of the Suikoden games is you could recruit like, over 100 characters.
Oh yes, I remember this. This looks
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, I really like the art style. It's, I guess I would say reminiscent of Octopath, but I guess Suikoden was doing that a long time ago.
I would say this game makes me want to go back and play Octopath at the very least.
Did you like Octopath? I can't remember.
Yes and no.
I liked it.
Oh yeah,
We should-
did you finish it, Rich?
Nope.
It's
Oh.
a big game. I thought so. Quick little tangent, and unrelated to the Eiyuden Chronicle. I really was thinking about nominating Octopath for the RPG Club, and then I was like, well, that kind of defeats the point of the game because you can kind of play it in any way that you want and kind of in any order. So we'd have to come to a consensus on like, okay, we got to play it in this specific order. And I was like, that'd be way too big of a headache. But
I think
at
we
the
could've
same
made it work.
time, it would be a good one to like really chop up into segments to complete because it's a very segmented game. So
It's kind of a long one though, isn't it?
it's very long. Yeah. There's so there's 8 characters each.
I think each has like 3 or 4 chapters.
Four chapters, 8 characters, 4 chapters each. Yeah. It's rough.
So this game was basically dropped on Kickstarter with a trailer for some of the former members of the Suikoden cast saying that, they wanted to make some kind of spiritual successor, but they also wanted to like have full control of the IP in order to make the game that they thought that gamers really wanted. So as of right now, it has 46,307 backers. And the Kickstarter has raised a total of 481,621 yen.
What's that in USD, my friend?
Let me see if I can Google that real quick. Google yen to USD.
For the record, I think that's 481,621,841 yen.
Nice. Okay. Dollars. It is $4,533,103.
That
So it's
sounds like
raised
enough.
4.5
Sounds like enough
million.
to play a video game or to create a video
Make one.
game. Yeah,
And
maybe. I have no idea, but
you would think, especially something like this, but we'll get into this a little bit later. Sometimes these Kickstarter games can run into some trouble, as we've seen in the past. But I was reading through like sort of what they were. It was a long ass page just talking about their whole plan and everything. But they said that a lot of problems with Kickstarter games is they don't have scalability. So they introduce all these rewards and then they can't, ramp up to actually meet everything. And then the game never actually comes out. But they said they had like some kind of backing company that was willing to give them the resources they needed if they raised the amount of money they needed. So they said that they weren't really worried about that. And there was even some language in there about how they know that people don't have faith in Kickstarters a lot of times, but they were like, but believe in us.
that's what they all say. Like, I know that most people who do this thing are terrible, but I'm not terrible. Okay.
Right.
That's how the politicians get us, Scott. Okay.
It's true. God damn it. Siri keeps coming up. Stop it.
It's true. Hey Siri, you know.
Siri's agreeing with us, but so like, for example, I think one of the most infamous Kickstarters is Mighty Number Nine, which was that Mega Man clone by the creator of Mega Man. And that game came out after years of development hell, and people didn't like it. And on top of that, I think they promised like a 3DS version that is still not out. And this was like years ago, and it took years to come out.
It's not gonna come out.
Yeah,
No,
probably
it's not. I wonder if there's any legal ramifications with that. Like if you make a pledge to do something for money, I feel like you're like legally obligated to do that thing or return people's money.
You would think so. There's some kind of gray area with how Kickstarter works that like sometimes you can get screwed, but there are certain guarantees in place.
Yeah, we should probably check that out. But I imagine there's probably like this Kickstarter project is only only has to oblige by one thing, like releasing the game. That's the only thing they actually have to do. Everything else is like, oh well, if they do it, they do it. If they don't, they don't. You know, that's up to their moral standards. But you are only giving your money for this specific pledge.
Yeah. And another game that I could think of that was a Kickstarter is Ukulele, which was a Banjo Kazooie Kickstarter or inspired project by some of the former Rare developers. And although that came out and it wasn't terrible, it also wasn't great. And so people were disappointed by that.
I mean, come on, though. Really? A ukulele banjo game? Wow.
It's a lizard named Yuka with a bat named Laylee. So
I don't know.
Play on words.
On the other hand, there have been some successful ones. Like just recently we had Bloodstained, which was a Castlevania clone. Apparently that was good. And Shovel Knight, which is like an indie darling. I think that was a Kickstarter originally. But the thing with that one was they had so many stretch goals. I think it was just earlier this year or maybe late last year where they finally fulfilled like the last stretch goal. And Shovel Knight's been around for a while now. So years.
It's on like a bunch of systems.
Yeah, and although that is a really good game, I've played it myself. It's like, geez, the developers really painted themselves into a corner with that. I'm sure they're sick of Shovel Knight.
Yep.
But on this Eiyuden Chronicle, it looks like they have met all their stretch goals. Looks like their last one was at 4.5 million. So maybe they're actually keeping true to their word. Like they're not going to, keep expanding just to get more money.
Yeah, I hope they don't try to add more fluff to it just for the money, because this game looks so good. Like I'm looking through some of the like little GIF videos that they have of it, and like it's so beautiful. It's making me tear up. So I mean, it looks good. It looks really good.
Emotional soul.
I'm seeing it, and it's just so beautiful. The teamwork, the camaraderie, the vision.
I think I'm with Rich. I might actually back this because even though I don't know that I'm going to love the game, it looks good enough. I think I would like it, and I want that physical version. So 6,000 yen. That's how much you have to do for the physical version. How much is that in dollars?
Hey Siri.
$56. So apparently just the price of a normal game. If you want the digital, it's 4,000 yen. And so that would be 37.65. 37.65.
Did they say what system it's going to be on?
From what I could understand, it was everything except Switch.
No, of course.
They said that they would put it on Nintendo's next generation console, which nobody even knows what that is. But what their reasoning for that was apparently it's notorious for the amount of time it takes to develop a game, that by the time they get close to like porting and releasing, apparently Nintendo's old software is like so far behind that it's hard to like make a good port. Not impossible, but it's like we don't want to set ourselves up for failure. So I was surprised that language was actually in there. Poor
Probably
Switch.
smart. Probably smart. What all are they planning on releasing for this?
I think it's PS4, Xbox One, PS5, Xbox X, Steam.
Cool. Yeah, the crazy person in me really wants to do like one of the really expensive backings because I want a t-shirt. I want a t-shirt. I want a unique role on Discord. Come on. But I want a vinyl. I want the CD soundtrack. Like all of these things that I want to start collecting. But then like the prude in me is like, oh, like my butthole starts puckering up because I don't want to spend that much money.
Well, there's even like on some of the higher tiers, you can like get yourself into the game, apparently. Like one of them that I noticed is like there's going to be a fishing mini game, apparently. Shocker. It's a Japanese RPG. But there could be like a special type of fish that has like your face.
Oh no.
That's pretty crazy.
I need to do that. Have my hair like in front of my face.
That's horrifying.
That's
just
hilarious.
Scrolling down here more. The soundtrack is by Motoi Sakuraba, who's known for his work on the Tales of series, Shining Force 3, Golden Sun, Button Kaitos. Golden Sun has good music. Does Tales?
Yeah. Tales games didn't have some good music.
Jay's our local Tales expert.
It's good enough.
Good enough. I've heard that name before. I'm trying to. Okay, here we go. PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo's next generation console, whatever that may be.
So, do they know something that we don't know?
I think that was actually like that made some headlines that was like actually referred to by an official company. Maybe they know more than Nintendo does. I'm trying to see what other benefits there are here.
There's some freaking huge pledges you can do in here. Like the minute I see that you were awarded the Discord role of noble, I'm like, I'm not rich enough for that.
Right. Oh, you can get replicas of the weapons, apparently, and figures, and an art book. Oh, you can have a meeting with the team, meet the actual developers. Get your name on a tombstone in the game, a painted portrait of yourself. That's pretty cool.
You probably can't understand them.
That's a good point. Hey, is it true that there's actually technology to translate live now?
I think so.
Probably.
Like, I think I've heard that, but
Google does some stuff, man.
Right. But yeah, I'm excited about this, and it sounds like you guys are too. And then there was also Edge of Eternity that we talked about earlier. I didn't really look at the Kickstarter for that too closely, but that one was announced the Kickstarter started in 2015, and it got fully funded. So here we are 5 years later. I think that's another example of
I know, and that's the biggest problem for me is that none of these pledges would be fulfilled until 2022. I'm like, oh, that's 2 years from now. Oh man, I'm gonna have a 7-year-old. My child is gonna be 7 years old when this game comes out. I don't know what me in 2022 is gonna be like. What if I lose my arms? What if I'm in an accident and I don't have hands and I can't play this game?
Why are you doing that?
Can't make it.
You're gonna have to now take extra precautions to not lose your arms.
I know. So I had the same issue. We were looking at a couch. We wanted to buy a couch for the nice winter, like this huge couch with like a double chase, and it pulls out into like a this kind of like a bed, but it's not a hideaway bed. It's something you just pull out and it lifts up, and it's the most comfy looking couch ever. But they're like, oh, you can buy it now. It's like a $1,500 couch, but we won't have them in stock until the end of October. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I can't spend the money now and wait until October. Come on. It's October. That's a month away. That's almost 2 months away. Who do you think I am? But Yeah,
Adulting is hard.
apparently I have commitment issues. I
Yes,
need it
you
now.
do.
I want it now.
I am the same way.
Yeah, I understand that. So have you
And that's
guys
why,
ever?
hold on. That's why
Go ahead.
I throw so much money at Amazon, because it's like you buy it 2 days later, it's yours.
So this
Like,
is the reason why Jeff
this-
Bezos has so much power, is because of you. You
yes,
and your
all because of
talent.
me. The all the
I'm the
money
same
I've
way,
thrown
Jay.
at Jeff.
I feel bad about it because I'm, a filthy extremist liberal, but I'm addicted to Amazon. So
Yeah.
I love that. That's hilarious. Down with capitalism. Amazon. You should
exactly.
listen to me immediately. I want this
Exactly.
now.
Hey, it's the sentiment behind it, okay? It's the moral of our words, not the moral of our actions.
Right.
I love that.
So have you guys ever kickstarted anything before or
Yes.
backed anything?
I have.
Okay, what?
I backed the 8-bit. What was it called? I'm pulling up my Kickstarter real quick. What did I back? I backed the Chained Echo game.
I've heard of that.
Okay, so that's that one that looks really good. It's a demo out on Steam. But I also backed, where the heck is it? I can't find it. Well, anyways, I backed NES Maker.
Back it up.
Make NES games, no coding required. I backed that up like a couple years ago.
How did
I
that
haven't
go?
heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I just got to find the component. So basically, it's a software that allows you to make NES games, and then the equipment to basically flash it onto a cartridge.
Oh,
an
that's
NES
cool.
cartridge. Yeah.
That is awesome. It looks like I backed ukulele, which I ended up.
Sucker. Ha ha ha.
I think I ended up canceling that because I wanted the Switch version, and they ended up having to delay that, if I remember right. But it wouldn't be hard to get now. And there was a couple like art books or comic series that I've backed before. There was this really funny web comic called Brawl in the Family at one point that focused on like the Smash Brothers cast getting into shenanigans. So I backed that, and those are always really good. But that's about it for me.
I got nothing.
Nothing for you, Jay.
Nope.
So maybe I'll add Eiyuden to this list soon.
I will probably also do that.
Look at Chained Echoes.
And hope that I don't lose my hands.
Hey, was that Pillars of Dust game? Was that backed at
Yeah.
all, or did they just make it?
They just made it.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
That was a fun game.
So we ready to talk about like the more socioeconomic ideas around Kickstarters and stuff? Because I want to talk about it. I want to talk about why I love them.
But not at length. Okay.
I have no promises. So first off, I want to say that I do not have a speech plan, so I'm going to talk all over myself for a little bit, and I may contradict myself a couple times. I reserve the right to fully do that. And I also want to point out that I am a huge hypocrite and that I do still support these huge monolithic tech companies that are, Apple, Amazon, and in the case of there are many in the game realm as well. Microsoft being one of those huge, tech giants that squash the little man and make it impossible to try and compete. But the reason why I totally dig Kickstarters, despite the fact that I have a hard time committing to them, is that they allow these small people to create awesome games and to create stuff without having these tech giants back them. Because a lot of times what these huge companies will do, and this kind of transcends beyond the gaming industry, this is in software, hardware, pretty much anything, is that whenever you have a really good idea, you have to have a lot of money in order to pull off that idea, and even more money to try and market that idea, because marketing is more expensive than actually creating whatever you're wanting to create. So that requires an insane amount of money. And so in order to get that money, you have to have investors. And who are the people investing? These huge companies, Microsoft, Google, Salesforce, like all of these companies have to invest in these products, or they have to, and in the case of video games, you have to say, okay, well, I'll let my team develop, my team will help develop the game. Like we'll have contracts. You can contract some of this work to me for like a specific percentage of the profit, or for, it would probably end up being for percentage of profit, because I doubt they have the money to just downright pay some company, some studio to actually develop this stuff. So then you end up with this huge parasite leeching on to like the original idea and the original team that's developing this. That's kind of subtly controlling all the direction that this game makes. Like, oh, like, no, you don't want to do that. Like, oh, maybe if you don't do this, we're less inclined to give you the money. Like, I don't know. That would kind of
It
put
sort of talks about that on the Eiyuden page somewhere.
Yeah, totally. And so it happens in every single industry where you have these huge tech companies that you almost need in order to make what you want succeed. And it's incredibly hurtful to, in my opinion, it's really hurtful for innovation and just the like new content creators, because it ends up just getting swallowed by the big tech giants. And whenever you get something that big, like you lose a little something, like it ends up becoming bland and like just another cog in the machine. So these Kickstarters, GoFundMe's, what else is there? The For You pages, TikTok, all of these things that allow the content creators and game creators to just go directly to the people and be like, hey, like we want to make this thing. Here's our idea. You want to fund us? Oh, awesome. Like I have a ton of money now. I can do what I want without having to go like grovel at the feet of Microsoft.
Corporate overlords.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it other than being really, really cool.
Yeah. It's definitely a good thing in the long run, I think. It's just, as we talked about, it comes with its own set of issues.
Yeah.
But
time
overall,
being one of those issues, because whenever you have somebody who's huge with unlimited resources backing you, then you are pretty much able to just whip out like high quality stuff in a relatively short amount of time. High quality being subjective, because we know what some of these top tier gaming companies have put out in recent years, and it's not high quality. They're just losing, they're sacrificing like good for fast in a lot of cases, like Anthem being a huge one. That one space game that we mentioned earlier that I can't remember.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Yeah.
I'm disappointed with Anthem.
Yeah. And
the sore spot for Rich.
And I think that's kind of what happens whenever you have these big companies come in and start trying to put profits over the quality or the experience of whatever you're pushing out, which I feel like Kickstarter, you're able to be like, sure, you have like, you want to try to hit these commitments and these deadlines, but since you can go straight to the community, you can kind of just be real and be like, hey, like we are having issues with X, Y, and Z. We're going to have to delay it, but I swear we're doing everything we can to get this out. And I feel like people are more inclined to believe it. Like if Microsoft, like the Microsoft spokesperson came out and was like, hey, we're delaying this. We have the game's done. I swear the game's done, but we want to fix a couple of bugs here and there. It's no big deal. We want to make sure the best thing goes to you. Everyone's just gonna be like, yeah. Like, okay, so you guys screwed up most likely is what you're saying. Like something bad's happened. Like there's no trust there. I hope that everything goes well with this because it's super promising, and I'd like for like these Kickstarter games to become more of the norm, and I'd like for there to be able to be a like culture of trust around these Kickstarter games and people giving into these Kickstarter games instead of these small gaming companies having to go to our corporate overlords for funding, for marketing and
right.
development. So fingers crossed.
Disa in our Twitch chat. She says, backing is interesting. I've backed Fidget Cube, and it's sort of backing on Polymega. And she recently backed a mini GBA looking emulation handheld. That does not shock me, Disa. I looked up a Fidget Cube, and apparently it's sort of like a fidget spinner. It's just, something for to do with your fingers.
I almost bought one on Etsy because I was like,
Oh.
this thing looks interesting because I am a
Yeah.
fidgeter. That's why, I hope you guys can all hear this. I usually twist in my chair like crazy, and my chair recently just started squeaking. And so I've been having to hold in all of my angst so not to squeak in my chair for your ears. You're welcome.
I turned my volume down to prevent echo, so I can't hear it as much anymore. So, but I did hear it earlier. So, you got any final thoughts on Kickstarters, Rich?
No, I mean, I don't like the fact that if big companies come in and use Kickstarter, like, hey, we're going to kickstart this game here. Let you guys be a part of it. Like, well, you have money. You go.
If Microsoft came in and did that, I'd be like, screw you, dude. Microsoft literally has billions in cash assets. Like, that's not even equity. Like, cash assets, they have billions and billions and billions. And so, like, if they wanted
Billions
to,
and billions and
billions and billions, exactly. So if they wanted to, they could fund games for the next 6,000 years and be fine, like with no revenue at all. Like, that's how much cash assets they have. So screw them.
Yep.
Oh, wasn't Shenmue 3? Wasn't that a Kickstarter game?
Yep.
Like, they finally did a sequel, but it was like by the same company that did the series in the first place. So that felt a little skeevy to me. Like, it's like they knew they weren't going to get their money back, so they did Kickstarter. I don't know. Disa also says the cubes are good for anxiety, but even better is this mini handheld that I mostly will use to keep with me on social gatherings, and she can sneak off for a couple of minutes to soothe anxiety, etc., without it being like, hey, let me grab my Switch and get 2 minutes alone. That makes sense. I'm imagining like a Game Boy Micro. You guys remember those?
Oh, they were so good. I have so many fond memories with my Game Boy Micro and Pokemon Fire Red. So I used to have to go to a moose lodge. My grandparents were like, I don't know, pretty high up in the local moose lodge of Anna, Illinois. And so my grandpa would like do their Sunday night steak cooking, and he would read out the bingo on Thursdays, and my grandma would play bingo. And so every Thursday and every Sunday evening and night, I would just take my Game Boy with Pokemon Fire Red and just lay on a couch that they had there for like hours straight.
I feel like my fingers would cramp.
Yeah, I
was young. I was 11, 12, 13, probably mostly just like 11, 12 age.
So he had them baby hands.
Yeah, I still have baby hands.
Well, all right then. I have tiny hands too, by the way. It's girl hands. It's unfortunate.
Mine are probably average.
Mine are big. You know what they say? Big feet.
Big gloves.
Big gloves. No, mine are normal size.
Okay, so I think we need to wrap up the main discussion there. Then I guess next is RPG Club. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, everyone, quiet down. All rise. We're here today to bring to order the next session of the RPG Club. All in favor? All opposed? And looks like the ayes have it. Then let the RPG Club commence.
Okay. Did we finish it, boys?
Yes, I finished it
Congrats.
Yesterday. Right at 20 hours. I'm in, baby.
I'm proud of you, Jay. Yeah, you put in the work. What about you, Rich? I met with silence. Okay, so where are you?
I totally forget where I'm at now.
Plead the fifth. We're in court. Plead the
Yep.
fifth.
I plead the fifth, and you can't ask me that without my lawyer present.
Shame. Shame.
Well,
There it is.
Shame.
Get naked.
so that's your strike
right.
3, Rich.
I'm
I'm
gonna
throw
sorry.
poop at
You have
you.
lost
I'm
your.
out.
You
I'm
cannot
out.
nominate or vote on the next round. You're still required to play, though.
Yes, I know. I'm still
Use
going to
the word
play this
required
Wild Arms
loosely.
game. I swear to God.
I was going to ask
I
you if
like
you were just
it.
going to quit or not.
No. I'm still going to play. I like it. I do like the game. It's just I've not had a chance to do much. I think I'm going to try to plow through a lot of it tonight once I get past my freaking busy weekend.
Yeah,
Stop
it
having
goes
birthdays,
by.
man. That's all you got to do. You'll stop getting older. Okay.
I would
It's
love
what
to.
Keanu did. It's what Paul Rudd did. Okay.
Yeah, I would love to do what Paul Rudd does.
Well, our
Probably
goal this time
drugs, I
was
bet.
to
It's
get through
drugs.
the gate generator, and that involved a lot here. So I guess let's just jump in. And I assume, Rich, you
I don't care.
you
Just
still
go.
you don't still mind spoilers.
No, I don't mind too much of those. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. I don't know. I just shamed myself.
So where we left off story-wise, I believe, was we went back to Quartzheim, and basically Al-Hazard had the dog demon thing, weird-looking demon, four-legged. He had threatened to like destroy the town.
Just
if they
watch. It's
didn't-
gonna be a dude, and like he just likes to wear a he just has like a sheet over him. He's not a dog at all.
I picture a large hamster with a sheet over it. So you have to go to the sacred shrine to get this item called the rune drive for Al-Hazard. And so what did we you're not even to this part yet, right, Rich?
No.
Okay. So what did we think about the sacred shrine, Jay? This is a dungeon.
I thought it was okay. There were a lot of very subtle things that I would not have necessarily done or found if it wasn't for the guide. Like, I'm trying to think.
Well, this is where they had the puzzle where you had to use handpan on that kid.
Yeah. What is that? Come on. And then you had to talk to the dog, and the dog turned into the monster.
Oh yeah, like a secret boss kind of or something.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Turned into a beetle tank.
Yeah, it did. It's hilarious. Yeah, I just had because I had a guide, I was fine, but I cannot imagine how long all of this would have taken me without a guide. What were people thinking in the 90s?
Yeah, I think if you talk to those kids, one of them mentions they're afraid of mice or something, but my two brain cells still would not have connected. Oh, I need to use handpan.
Yeah,
because you never have to use one on a human before that.
Oh my god, this fucking game.
Right, and I got lost in this dungeon a couple times too. So, but it's one of the more non-linear ones. But anyway, everyone's hiding out here. You get the rune drive, which you use to power up the earth golem. And there's a scene here where they can't figure out how to get it to turn on. And then that night, Cecilia sneaks out and she's like, "Won't you please?" And then it works. So more hints at, Cecilia being the innocent one with all her magic powers. So that was a decent scene, I thought. And I wrote down in my notes that you work with a character named Nikolai here, but I do not remember him.
Yeah, he was the guy that was at the chest, and you took the rune out of the chest, and then you went back to the town and you talked to him. He was the guy. Yeah, he's a guy.
I did take notes as I was playing this section because last week when I was trying to recap it, there was a lot of like holes in my memory. So
I basically played the last two sections this last week, so I have a lot of stuff running together.
Yeah, that makes sense. So once you have the Earth Golem, you're able to go to the photosphere, which is where it's the demon base where they hang out. And there's like this giant force field that they put up.
So you did have the Earth Golem before this. It just wasn't powered up to be able to burst through the photosphere.
Oh,
So
okay.
you got the Earth Golem. You had to have you got the Earth Golem, and then had to use it to even get to Court Seam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember that vaguely now. You also defeat Alhazad somewhere in here, I think at the Sacred Shrine. So he's sort
Yeah,
of like,
it is. It's at the
so you
Sacred
end up
Shrine.
not having to give him the drive after all. Everybody goes back to town happy. But you go into the photosphere. You there's like a blue robed figure that's sort of like helping you through the dungeon, but then it turns out that that's Siegfried.
Yeah, I
The-
thought that was
the
kind
li-
of funny.
Yeah. And
I
now
mean,
that I'm
I
thinking
wasn't
about
too
it,
surprised because I mean, the last time he was like, "Oh wait," like towards the end of the last segment, that's when Mother was like, "No, I'm going to destroy everything. Of course, what are you talking about? I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to destroy this Earth. I'm going to destroy everybody, and then I'm going to go
Right.
somewhere else, and I'm going to destroy all that." And he was like, "Oh shit." I said, "Oh no."
I kind of liked that because it's like instead of them just being like, well, okay, he actually did something about it or
Yeah.
tried to. So that was cool. But Zeke has decided that he's going to be like the demon ruler of the land. And it even tells you later, like towards the end of this section, that yes, he was trying to betray Mother. You also fight Lolithia somewhere in here, finally.
This was such a hard battle for me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. She kept putting all of my people to sleep and then railing me and then continuing to put my
Yeah.
people to sleep. They would always
Sleep
fall asleep.
sucks in this game. It's
Always
awful.
fall asleep. And the worst thing is that I had no items to heal sleep. So I had to grind a little bit and then
I don't think there is an item to heal sleep. I could be wrong about that. But
I have no idea because I didn't have an item to do it. I didn't get a status healing magic until I went to the guild of lonely mages out in the southern section of the world.
And this is before that point. So
Yes, so I had a difficult time.
I also
I had to
wrote
get
down
lucky. I had to get lucky that at least one person would not fall asleep so that I could keep healing.
Yeah. And I wrote down that it absorbs sonic vision, which I think is like your strongest attack at that point.
And any freeze spells. Fire. It's weak against fire, though.
Colin has confirmed in our chat here that there is no item that heals sleep.
Womp
So then you actually fight Mother here and defeat her, which I was surprised by. I was expecting this to be final boss material. We learn later in this section that she's not really dead, but
She's goopy.
yes, she's turned into like a Resident Evil final
Goopy.
blob boss. But we'll get there. So the photosphere starts to blow up after you defeat Mother, and then Jane and Bartholomew, Calamity Jane and Bartholomew show up and save you. And they sort of have like a planning session back at Adlehyde. I thought this was cool. So it's like, because it was like all the side characters sort of had to come together and like just do like a committee kind of. It sort of becomes apparent here that Calamity Jane is in love with Rudy, which I thought was cool. I didn't really see that twist coming.
You didn't?
Well, I did after the
Read
the part
between
where
the
the roof
lines,
collapsed.
Scott.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool because I didn't expect these side characters to keep returning in the story, and they seem to be important. Let's see what else. While you're on the sweet candy, you're both the four demons reappear, and they're like, "It's not over yet. We're gonna take over the world."
That's when Zeke, like the guy with the cloak, shows up, and Zeke's like, "Haha, it was me.
Oh
I
yeah,
helped you."
I am shook. But at this point, you figure out you have to go to get to the outer sea, and in
Well,
order
first, so I had to go and talk to people to figure out, like, oh, there's something happening at the outer sea, and then you have to specifically go to Rosetta Town to talk to the mayor, and he's like, hey, this thing's stopping us from doing stuff. And this is another instance of like, if I did not have a guide, hours would have been spent trying to figure out where I needed to go.
Yeah. And I can't even really figure out why you have to talk to the mayor first anyway. But so the next boss is the Dragon Shrine. Not the next dungeon, I mean. You go into this whirlpool and you're after the water summon, Lucadia. There's like so many summons at this point that I can't really keep them straight anymore.
I haven't been keeping track. I have the original ones that I had, and then I just
Right.
leave them.
There are some tricky block puzzles here. There was one particularly asshole-ish one where you had to move the block just right in order for it to like set into its hole.
Yeah, you can't push it all the way down, which it looks like it's supposed to go all the way down, and then you push it to the left or push it to the right, depending on which side. But it's literally like all the way down, except maybe like a foot.
Right. It's like the furthest you can push it down without hitting the wall on the
Mhm.
bottom. But it looks like that's all the space there is.
Because I kept pushing it down and then to the left, and just that it wouldn't lock in. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Is this a bug? What's going on?
So you also get the magic vase here, which is a new tool for Cecilia. Basically, all it does is put out fire. It's just like a puzzle solver, I guess.
So you said it's a magic thing? You just dump water on fire? Ooh. Magic.
Yeah, it's like a vase with an endless supply of water. I guess that's why it's magic.
All right. Okay.
I feel like you can do a lot of good with that vase.
Yeah. You could have put out the Adlehyde when it was burning, I guess.
Well, also, I'm sure there are like desert areas that are suffering a drought. You're like, here's your water.
Yeah.
Good way to get super rich too, I bet.
And then you find out here that the demon's plan is to destroy the Ray line, which is like some kind of it made me think of like the life stream. It's like the lifeblood of the planet. It's what keeps the planet thriving.
There are a lot of plot points in this game.
Yeah. And then you fight Lady Harkin for the first time here. And after you defeat her, Jack learns like a new fast draw technique from her. But it started to become apparent to me that there's some kind of connection between Harkin and Jack.
They start talking about how their swords. Oh, your sword is the same as my sword. Why are our swords the same? What's going on?
Giggity.
I was like, maybe you
theory-
guys bought it at the same place. I mean,
They might have made two.
you both went into Walmart around the same sale. I don't know.
Yeah. I have a theory that there's going to be like a female character that Jack was interested in at one point in his past, and he did something and he lost her and she turned into a demon.
Maybe. I'm having a hard time with, are these demons literally from hell? Or are they from a different planet called Hades?
I don't know if you guys can still hear me, but my AirPods just died, so I'm going to have to go get headphones real quick.
I can still hear you, but you cannot hear me. It's just me and you, Rich.
Well, let's talk. Let's keep going. We got this.
Okay, so yeah, where exactly was he at? Oh yeah, Demon Lab. So you get all the way through the Demon Lab, you fight the people. Some weird connection between her and Jack.
So Harkin is protecting the Dark Tier, and Alizad is horny.
Yes, because so basically he pops in and like gets a little flirty with her, and she's like, "Get back, you nasty, nasty," and he's like, "Oh," he kind of backs off a little bit, but that was kind of funny that Alhazad was trying to get himself some Lady Harkin there. So they're like the Demon Lab is pretty stereotypical lab, like what you think it would be as a lab. Like there are computers, there are like containers of bubbly gooiness with like things inside the bubbly gooiness.
Oh, okay.
Scott's coming back. I see him. He looks so determined.
Check 1 2. Can you
You're
guys hear me
back.
now?
You're back.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Sorry about that.
So I talked about Alhazad being horny. Do you want to do your little snippet?
About what?
Alhazad being a horn dog.
Oh, So you go to the demon lab and you find out that they're trying to protect this like dark tier, which I'm guessing is like the opposite, the counter thing of the teardrop that Cecilia has. And Alhazad is like kind of horny for Lady Harkin here. She calls him like a sleaze at some point.
Giddy, giddy.
We got some demon horniness going on here.
Wow.
So you go through the demon lab. There are scientists sort of guarding the computers. You kind of learn more about the demon's plan. And then you fight Lady Harkin again. And then it becomes even more apparent that there's some kind of connection. You go to the Forgotten Ruins next. You get the
I'm trying
ocarina.
to remember what the Forgotten Ruins were.
I think it was
it's
just
where,
a single screen, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is just you have to go west of Court Seam, and it's just a house, or actually it's just an open area. You go in, it's just a single house. I remember now. Apparently it was where Rudy's dad was, and apparently there's some good info in the books that kind of like gives foreshadowing to the end of our segment. I did not read the books.
Interesting. I forgot all about the plot point of Rudy's dad, so I'm glad you brought that up.
You're welcome.
But you get the ocarina, and that lets you summon the golem wherever you want. Then you go through the Wandering Isle, which is that dungeon where you had to like grapple between like floating islands back and forth a lot.
I was moving through this really fast, and I felt like Spider-Man.
Flip. I actually kind of like that dungeon. It was fun, like having to grapple around like that.
Yep.
There was a couple times where I was like, I had a hard time lining it up just right. It's like, Jesus Christ, I just hit it.
Yep.
But, so then you go to the Dead Sanctuary. This is the dungeon that has all those statue puzzles where you have to like move the statues into the proper place. And what else? Is there anything else that happens there in particular?
Not really. The puzzle was kind of again, it would have taken me forever if I didn't have a guide. So
Yeah.
that was very...
So I remember in particular there was like one statue colored puzzle where different colors of statues, and they had to be in the correct spot.
You have to like blow up the green one.
Yeah.
And then it goes red. No, you have to put the blue one in, then the red one in, then the gold one in. So blue right, red left, gold middle.
Mm-hmm. And the hints to that were like throughout the dungeon. There was like little plaques on the wall that would like speak vaguely about something. But if you didn't know that that's what it was doing, like giving you hints for a puzzle, then, or if you just thought it was like lore or whatever, then I could see.
Oh yeah.
You would have had to go back through the whole dungeon and reread them, which would have been fucking annoying.
Yep. So the boss battle in this one was literally the hardest ever. Like it took me so many tries, the Boomerang versus Boomerang and Lucide, because both of them have an attack that will do like 1800 damage plus. And that is enough to one shot Cecilia for me. So like if they both do their really strong move at the same time, one of them knocks out Cecilia, the other one attacks like Rudy or Jack with like not full HP, then all of a sudden I have two people gone.
Well, I think by this point we had gotten like the level 2 spells, right? Or at least some of them.
Supposed to have.
So you do get to start getting level 2 spells somewhere around this part of the game.
But I mean, if Cecilia is gone, they'd one shot her for me.
That's true. Yeah.
So
I thought it was cool being able to like re-choose which spells you wanted. I actually dissolved a lot of my older spells to try and get more graphs back for the higher level stuff.
I apparently had a bunch of graphs like stockpiled because I was able to just keep nailing out like, oh, I want the high freeze, the high spark. Yeah,
right. And it feels like Cecilia is like more useful after you get those.
Significantly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked that. But anyway, you leave the Dead Sanctuary after defeating Boomerang and Lucide again. And on the way out, you get kidnapped by Zeke and taken to our final stop for this section, the gate generator, which is apparently what created like the demonic darkness that destroyed Adlehyde. So that's one question answered, I guess. Of course, this section opens with a battle with those 3 clown things with the umbrellas.
Oh man,
That
that
just put you to
shook
sleep
me.
over and over.
That shook me, dude, because I had already used like most of my items with Boomerang and Lucide,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I was stressing out the whole time during that battle. And those dudes just put you to sleep. They aren't necessarily difficult, but you don't want to underestimate them.
Yeah, that it fucked me up too, just because I was like, are they just gonna kill me while I sit here asleep for 10 minutes?
Yep.
Dasa asks if we renamed any of the spells.
Nope.
Nope.
If I was playing by myself, I think I would, but I wanted to like make sure that people knew what we were talking about when we mentioned the spell names.
So we got Spark Ass, we got Flame Ass, we got Freeze
Exactly.
Ass.
So at the gate generator, you sort of go through a wild goose chase with Zed, trying to follow him around. There's a part where you have to like use him as a grapple point, which I thought was funny.
I did not use the guide throughout this whole section because I've only been using the guide on the sections that I know will have a hard puzzle, because otherwise I find myself I find that I am able to move faster throughout the dungeons without the guide, because I'm not stopping to read the guide every like 2 steps. So I'm able to just like run through it all. And
Yeah.
I do use that sprint. I do hold down X
I've
all
started
the
using it
time
more too.
to sprint through. But yeah, I didn't even think about, like, it took me a second to be like, well, there's nothing to grapple onto. I wonder if I can grapple. Like, I remembered the mouse thing. I was like, okay, I'll try to grapple onto him. And I was like, oh, it worked. Neat.
Right. There's a part where if you're not careful, you can end up trapped in a room by Zed.
You have to use the clock, the time
right,
turner
to reset. Yeah. I know we had one listener. I think we got her feedback somewhere in here, but she found it difficult that she forgot about the little watch thing. So she like literally reloaded a save point and played back to that point, which was.
I also accidentally jumped off a cliff into an area that trapped me, and I was like, guys, help me. I'm stuck here. I have no idea what to do. And Saitan was like, use the time turner.
Right.
I was like, okay.
By the way, I've not been able to figure out like what Zed's role is in the demons, because he's not one of the quarter knights, but he wants to be, or is he just like a lackey?
I thought he was a quarter knight.
Well, you've got Zeke, Harkin, Alhazad, and now Boomerang that are the quarter knights.
It's only 4, because 4 quarters make $1.
Well, who knows? It doesn't really matter. But you fight a Diablo, which is another one of the golems. A lot easier than Lolithia. Yeah, I didn't have any problems with that one. And then you finally get to fight Zeke, and I don't really remember having too much trouble with that one either.
I didn't have a lot of trouble. Definitely harder than most of the quarter knight battles that we've done.
Yeah, but
not anything. Well, aside from Boomerang and Lucide, nothing as compared to the Boomerang and Lucide battles. But
yeah,
it wasn't too bad.
So he tries to do like a self-destruct attack, sort of by sucking everyone into one of the demon gates, and he believes that he's like the destined ruler, so he thinks he'll survive.
He freaking grapples onto Rudy's arm. He throws a grapple and he's like, I'm gonna take you with me.
I was surprised by that. Like, I wonder why he picked Rudy. And
why grapple onto him? Everything's gonna get sucked up anyway. Why'd you do that?
Right. So Rudy's stuck, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he does cut his arm off, right?
He cuts his own arm off. Yes. He tries to cut the chain off, and then he's like, "Oh, screw it," and chops off his own arm.
Yeah. The way it's like the sprite pixelated stuff, I wasn't sure if I interpreted that fully correctly, but
I think Zeke even says like, "What? You cut your own arm off?" Because Rudy doesn't talk,
Is this what you were referring to when you were talking about Rudy being a badass?
Yeah. And then shortly after, it's like everyone's freaking out because like, oh, Rudy, I can't heal him. And it's like, oh, he's a goddamn robot.
Right. So they all get sucked up into the black hole. Zeke is taken back to the photosphere. And this is when Mother reappears. Apparently, she's not dead. She sort of drops from the ceiling.
She like there's like goop falling from the ceiling. I'm like, oh, gross.
She's just like a blob of flesh at this point. It kind of looked
Yeah.
like.
Disgusting.
And apparently she knows Zeke betrayed her, so she just sort of like, it looks like she absorbs him, like takes him into herself.
Yeah, she eats him. She jumps all up on him and smushes him down. It reminded me of a scene. Did you guys ever watch Norbit?
Yes.
Nope.
It reminds me of the scene when she jumps onto Norbit on the bed. She's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
There's a horror movie where the main monster is just like a amorphous blob that takes
The
things
blob,
in. It might be just a blob, yeah.
like the 30s or 40s.
So Rudy is like unconscious, and because he cut his own arm off, they kind of figure out that he's apparently an android, like he's got machinery parts and shit. They sort of think that he's a cyborg or a demon at first, but Emma examines him and determines that, it's just, he's got all the human parts. It's just they're made out of like a different material.
So there you go. He's able to do all the human things. If
Right.
You know,
Can
what I,
feel.
know what I'm saying? He's got the parts. They're just made out of something a little bit different.
Right. So it's unclear if they think somebody made him and that he's not a demon, is I think what the consensus was.
So Colin in the Discord made some little hints because I was making a joke about Rudy, or me and Saitan were talking about Rudy, being flirtatious and having a chance with Cecilia. And then Colin was like, I'm guessing you guys didn't read the books in his dad's office. And I was like, no,
Probably did, but
I did not read them. What's in them? And I'm guessing it has something to do about like creating a robot man.
Robot.
There's an emotional scene here where they're lamenting about what happened to Rudy, and there's even like Calamity Jane kind of yells at Cecilia, I guess because she's being such like a do nothing, or just not being more fiery about it. Is that what it was? She's just kind of pissed about Cecilia's attitude in general. I can't stand you, girl, she says. But they decide while everybody prepares for the battle with the demons that Jack and Cecilia are going to head back to Rosetta to talk to Marielle, that eel girl, because they think she might have something that can heal Rudy. And that's where we end this segment.
It's a good section ending.
Yeah,
Very good section ending.
The plot really heated up there. I
I'm
really liked
interested.
that section.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
interested.
I think I'm gonna look forward to playing the next segment.
See where it goes.
Yeah.
So good call, Colin, on that section ending.
Yes. Good job, Colin.
Um,
Your contributions are much appreciated, and we love you.
all the love. And I kind of liked this section in general. It felt like it might have been a little bit shorter than the other ones. Maybe it's just me.
Thank God.
It still took me like just under 6 hours, I think. But so
I was able to
apparently
do it all in one day. I was able to just cram it all yesterday.
nice. Where did you start yesterday?
I started at the Sacred Shrine. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So I thought that you had not made it there. Oh, you hadn't made it there last week, but you had played some before yesterday. I gotcha.
Yeah. So I actually made it to the Sacred Shrine like earlier this week, and then continued it yesterday. Picked it back up, finished it all in one day. Grabbed myself a Red Bull and some hot Cheetos and slammed it, baby.
Mm-hmm. And now that we have the level 2 spells, and I think the enemies are starting to get a little bit trickier. It's like I can't just mash attack through the bosses, or I'm kind of enjoying the gameplay a little bit more.
I still have them. I'm not enjoying the gameplay. I love the tools and stuff. I'm not enjoying the random battles because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a couple dungeons.
I still have everybody set on auto. So
Yeah.
I have Rudy and what's his face set on. I think there's a balanced section. So Rudy and Jack on balanced, and then Cecilia on defensive for the majority of random battles. I usually have to change it all back to manual for the boss battles, though.
Yeah, and the puzzles are getting a little trickier too. There's a couple asshole-ish ones that we talked about that annoyed me, but overall, I'm still not in love with the game or anything. But I see why people remember it fondly in some cases.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
I seriously,
Colin-
I still kind of sit with if I were like 10 or 11 playing this game, I'd be all in, baby. Like I'd love it.
Right. And it's just like sometimes it's the story is weird. Like there'll be like a really good part, and then there'll be like barely any dialogue for certain sections. It's just I don't know. It's like the writers like only focused in on certain key points or something. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll get to all that overall stuff when we get to the review. But Colin says, "Shame on Rich. Play the darned game."
I'm playing the
And-
game. I got a life. I hate you, Colin.
We just got done saying how much
you
we love
can't
him.
talk to him like that.
And he also recommends, Jay, that you get the invisible spell. That you'll like it. Oh yeah, there's a spell that turns you invisible and it reduces encounters.
What? Okay. I'll do that. Do I get it at the Guild of Lonely Mages?
I believe so.
Okay.
All right, so let's jump into the listener feedback here. We didn't get too much this week, but Rich, why don't you read that first one?
All right, let's get crazy with this one. Let's see.
Can you read that? It's kind of small.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so Caslow 25. Nothing in the game teaches you Harpin can interact with people. Just hit switches and levers and opening chests. Terrible game design.
I think we mostly agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I was like,
Although
what?
I remember Bill was arguing with him that it was great game design. I'm like, what are you on, Bill?
Bill is old. Okay.
Yeah, don't listen to Bill. He doesn't know things.
Satan said, my main thoughts on the game are that it's becoming more of a chore the further we get into it, even though I'm still somewhat enjoying it at times. I've gotten pretty damn annoyed with the fact that I seem to have a 90% chance of running away from encounters. That is my biggest gripe, along with randoms, but that spell does help some. I guess he means invisible. The combat has gotten better since we got some more skills and higher level spells, and the dungeons have more complex puzzles, which can be nice for the most part. The story still is pretty decent, even if I know some of the stuff that is going to happen. Playing with the group is the only reason I'm still keeping at it, since it does add some more enjoyment overall, but I definitely won't ever touch it again. LOL. Yeah, this isn't something I'll come back to ever after this, I don't think either.
You say
but,
that.
I might in the
Maybe.
way off future.
in retirement. Remember it fondly. I remember that RPG club.
That'll happen
so-
one day. We'll be old. Remember that.
Apparently, yeah.
You guys are pretty close.
Let's go to a retirement home together. Shady Oaks. But
I like it.
I know that Satan likes to run as much as he can to prevent becoming over leveled. Apparently that's how he plays all RPGs. And apparently the run rate in this game is very low. I wouldn't know because I just fight everything. But
Yeah,
I
it
think
is. I've tried to run many times. I'm like, oh, God dang it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that is the aspect that is killing it so much for him, like making him actively dislike the game.
I want to not play the game while I'm playing the game.
Right. There are some games that allow you to adjust your level. I think that's a really cool feature that I wish was in more games.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can take the next one, Jay.
All right. So next up is Nayu. They say it was fun. Did not like forgetting the clock reset puzzles when Zed locked me in a room, as I then redid from the previous save point. The revelation wasn't an entire surprise. Cecilia's powers are so awesome. And then Bill decided to interact with our listeners for some reason. He said, yes, like she can hold a blue stone and hit animals with a stick, pour water on stuff. Yeah, without the time traveling watch, she's great. And then Nayu's rolling their eyes and says, I meant when certain major stuff happens, she saves them all. Games certainly have questionable actions like hitting animals with a wand, not a stick.
That's a good point.
Just bonks him.
Yeah, I think Nayu really
I like
likes
to imagine
Cecilia.
it's a little tap, like a little, oh, hey, little birdie.
Good
talk
magic
to
No, I
me."
think it's clubbing clubbing seals. Just bam.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
Rich's favorite pastime.
No, don't tell people that.
Yeah, and that's all the
Gonna get
feedback from this week.
boycotted now.
All right, so let's hear from our legacy host. It's our fanciest segment, Tea Time with Bill.
Let me get that drop here.
And now, it's time we join an old friend once again. It's tea time with Bill.
We don't actually have a tea time, but I think he had planned on doing one. So
Yeah, he said he was going to.
Yeah.
So take a 5-second deal and go to the
let me
next
play my
part.
music.
Okay.
Pretend you're ending the club.
Okay. I'm ending the club right now. Is that what it is? Is that what we're doing?
Thanks, Rich.
It's
Sorry.
over.
Oh, I thought you were doing it at tea time.
All right. We got another successful RPG club in the books, and we've got a Eiyuden Chronicle to look forward to. So next week, you guys will be excited about this. We will be officially starting the Persona 5 Royal review. So like I said, Corey finished that not that long ago. So you guys get a break next week.
Oh,
And 17 weeks after that. So
Yeah.
excited. So excited.
The plan right now is to make that be either a 3 or 4 part review, but we'll be doing normal episodes between the review sections. And it's perfect because that means it'll be the weeks that RPG Club falls onto.
Cool.
nice.
Of course, that also means we're going to have like another month without a full catch up segment.
Yes.
Oh, well. So let's do the plugs.
All right. So don't forget to rate and review us on whatever it is that you're listening to our podcast on. So rating and reviewing us, especially if you leave positive ratings, helps us bring in more traffic, get a little bit more clout, get the buzz up. So if you like what you hear, give us a rating and a review. If you don't like what you hear, I guess you could still probably rate and review us, but we don't really want you to. So
Don't do
please
Give
don't.
us 5 stars.
All right. So Patreon, guys, we talked about before the early episode access, ad-free episodes, the aftercast, which we are looking at doing sometime next week, maybe the week after. Extra reviews, the RPG Club, which is becoming a very popular thing that we've got going on here. I enjoy it when I do it.
It's easy to enjoy something you don't do, huh?
Yeah, that's right. And many more. You could find those at patreon.com/RPG after years.
Awesome. I'll talk about the Twitch, Rich. We're streaming every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/RPG after years, which we're doing right now, and we're having a blast in there. Disa just told me I missed her feedback. For that, I am so sorry, Disa.
Oh,
But be a part of the
Scott.
show. Come find us on Twitch.
I don't know how you could do decent like that. She
She
is
must have
the
done it
single.
before we actually asked for it.
She is the pillar of this podcast. you
Maybe Bill
monster.
will do it.
She's a better host than me.
She is. So we also have an email. So if you, like I said, if you have some negative feedback or some things you'd like us to change, please send it to our email so that we can try to include those changes and make the show a bit better. So you can maybe give us a second shot. So you can send all of those and maybe even some episode ideas if you didn't want to hop on the Discord at rpgafteryears@gmail.com.
Sweet. And once again, I remember our merch store is now live. It's on Redbubble. Just go to redbubble.com, search RPG After Years. You'll find it. It should also be in the show notes. But get your After Years mugs, your After Years clothes, all that shit. It should be fun and rep the show on the streets. Tell everybody about the hottest RPG podcast.
Yep. And if you end up buying any merchandise, you take some nice pictures of it, and then you can post it in our Discord, which can also, the link to that can also be found in our in a pinned tweet or in the show notes.
Yeah. We also have our Twitter. It's very lively there at RPG Years. You can find me at HailBlue1569.
You can find me at JAYD Hizzle.
You can find me at the Scott Spot.
And you can find our fancy British host, if you want to, at Metunica. That's METUNNICA. All right, so we got plenty of wild arms left in Eiyuden Chronicle 1 day years from now. We hope you all join us next week for some Persona 5 goodness, episode 32. Bet you never saw that coming. But until then, I'm Rich.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Scott.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for hanging out.
Happy birthday, Rich.